Hi, everybody. It's me, and I'm back, and I have a new microphone, so I might sound a little different. I know some things about working with audio because I worked at a record label and had to learn it because I was doing audio preservation, archiving. But at the same time, I don't know anything. Really, all I know is when I was starting at this record label, my friend who actually knows about audio wrote me a cheat sheet of all the terms that all the other guys at the record label were going to try and trip me up over or use to try to fool me. And he was right about all of them. He was like, if you switch these two numbers around, they're going to laugh at you, but it doesn't matter. And it's just gatekeeping. And he was right about all of that. And that's really all the knowledge that I've retained. And this is probably coming through on the way that this microphone is sounding. I don't think it sounds great, but I'm just going to roll. I'm moving forward, and this is what I sound like now. Okay, so I want to talk about a slightly food related story this week. One of my favorite stories of the week. It's food related because it involves cornhole. Let me click through to this article. The headline is Pro Cornhole Player with No Arms or Legs Accused of Killing a Man, Dumping the Body. So allegedly, he was in a car driving people in a car, pulled out a gun, and shot the guy in the passenger seat, which is really impressive to me because I don't think I could do that with arms and legs. And I don't mean to make fun of the disabled. I really am just fascinated. I mean, it's obviously a negative story, but also, wow, true athlete. Okay. This is also kind of food related, but not really. I know that the movie Hamnet is about Hamlet, but I think it maybe would have won the Oscar for Best Picture if it had been about someone who sets out net traps to try and catch ham, like a ham net. The movie might have also been better if it was actually referring to the plastic netting that they put around the hams when they sell them in the grocery store, and maybe like a documentary into the meat and ham netting industry. This is reminding me of the time when I worked at Pies and Thighs, and my coworker told me that the movie The Revenant was about Leonardo DiCaprio renovating his house, and it looked really good. And I thought it was true. Okay, this is a garden-related update, which garden is food. I discovered this week that I've been bamboozled by my county's gardening club, which used to be men only. You could only be a man to join the county's gardening club. They've since allowed women to join the gardening club. They're heavily trying to recruit women now to make up for lost time. A very elderly man has been actively trying to recruit me. So they have a annual plant sale, which is a pretty good event. I go every year. I usually pre-order. So I recently discovered I went online to pre-order, and looked more closely at the website URLs this time and noticed that they are buying all of their herbs from the same distributor as Whole Foods, the same wholesaler as Whole Foods. I've been feeling bad the past few years because Whole Foods puts their herbs out first outside. And I'm like, "Oh, I should wait for the county garden plant sale where I can buy herbs that, the old women in my county grew and give them money." But it's not true. I mean, how much money are they actually making off these things? It's like, well, I'm either giving $1 to Jeff Bezos or I'm giving $1 to my gender inclusive gardening club. I mean, but I think I was tricked because a lot of the plants at the plant sale are grown by the members. There's a guy who's really obsessed with figs, for example. He grows all types of figs. He brings a bunch of fig trees in. He sells them for a very low price. And those are the kind of people I support. We have an email rapport. We talk about what kind of figs he's going to have for the next year. But, I've been bamboozled. I feel tricked, and I don't even know if I'm going to go to the plant sale. I mean, I would rather not give a dollar to Jeff Bezos if I can help it, but what is the difference at this point? I've met many of the members of this inclusive gardening club because I go to the sale every year, but also because there's a lot of crossover membership with the beekeeping club, which I no longer attend. It's most The demographic is mostly elderly women and men, obviously, who have completed their master gardener certification through their state extension office, but are still showing up to town events, despite this education and training, are still showing up to town events and meetings with clippings of extremely invasive plants from their garden and trying to convince people to take them home and plant them in their own garden and destroy their property. In the beekeeping meeting, this one woman showed up. She was a master gardener and she had honeysuckle clippings, and she brought like 50 of them and was passing them around to everybody, trying to convince people to put honeysuckle in their yards. Me being bamboozled by my local gardening club feels similarly to when we being me, Brian, and his family. Hold on, I'm going to drink coffee. We go to the beach on the Carolina shore and we go to this place called Friendly Market, which is where I got the beachside chicken salad that I reviewed last week. That was great. I actually talked to Brian's mom about it and she was like, I don't like that it's so pulverized, but it actually is really good. And I was like, I totally agree. Anyway, when we go to Friendly Market at the beach, they have like 400 flavors of jelly. They have toe jam, which is like tangerine orange something. And Brian's mom every time was like, "Oh my god, they make all this jelly. Oh my god." And Brian gets so mad. It's clearly sourced from a factory. And they're just bamboozling the elderly. It's like they're selling Stonewall Kitchen products, and the elderly folks who go in there are like, "Oh my god, they made these jellies and these biscuit mixes, these scones." I mean, it makes sense to me that she believes that all this jelly is real because all of the people around us are making jelly and selling it at stores. Like that's just what people do around here. So when someone's doing it at scale, like Friendly, she just thinks it's real. I mean, like they're obviously not growing pineapples here and making jam at scale. Yeah. Yeah, because everybody around here is making bread, selling it at tiny little stores that probably aren't licensed to sell food, selling jam. Um, Even I'm making jam that I don't even want. I have strawberry and lemon jam from the freezer from 3 years ago that I need to throw away. Okay, here's a note that I wrote down. This is kind of food related because it's garden related. I saw a new baby fruit tree planted in someone's yard on my drive to work, and it is surrounded by caution tape, which makes it look like someone died in their yard. So, like, that's your long-term plan for protecting this baby fruit tree. You're gonna have caution tape in your yard for years. It's beautiful, and it reminds me of the time one of my friends went to a wedding in St. Louis where he was from, and he was coming home from the wedding. I guess he was drunk. I think he lost his keys. He couldn't get in his house. He was wearing a suit and he passed out face down on his lawn and went to bed. And a bunch of people called the police because they thought he was a dead body. Now, I really glossed over some things in my episode last week that I want to touch up on. I glossed over the fact that there was finally cake in the cake room last week. Chocolate cake of all things, which I've been heavily wanting. Um, However, when I got into the cake room, I think what did I write last week? I simply described the cake. It was one skinny sliver of chocolate cake with cream cheese frosting in a Tupperware container. So my coworker saw me eyeing the piece of cake and asked if I wanted to split with him. I said no. I felt bad. I said, go ahead and have it. And also, I just don't want to eat, mostly because I don't want to eat cake from a stranger. It's a mysterious piece of cake. I don't know who made it. So, and it's like, you just have the cake. Anyway, another coworker came in and was like eyeing the cake. So then those two coworkers ended up splitting the cake. So it's glad we didn't try to split it in thirds. We would have just been inhaling dust at that point. Apparently, it was left over from a St. Patrick's Day party that someone held, a coworker. I don't know who they are. I've never met them. And apparently, she has diabetes and she could not keep the cake in her own home and had to bring it into the office for others to eat. And I was like, that is so strange. Why would you make a cake if you have diabetes and can't eat it? Because, like, when you make things, you should try them before you serve to people. But then I thought, wait a minute, when you're making a cake, you don't taste it. Like, that's how cakes work. You make it and you give it to people. You don't like cut a piece out. I mean, I guess you could like slice a piece off the bottom to make sure it's not rotten or whatever. But okay. Another update from last week's episode. Sometimes I come up with the titles for the episode ahead of time and then forget to talk about the title. The title for last week was Feeding a Dog Craft Singles, which I've alluded to before, and it's about dog sitting and feeding the dog cheese and craft singles, which I think I've talked about. It's the 14-year-old dog that I babysit. It's Brian's parents' dog. It's incredible that he's made it to 14. He's a very big dog, but I'm starting to think that it might be all the preservatives from the craft singles that he's consuming that are keeping him alive. Also, when I went over to dog sit, I forgot to mention, so he has a toy pickle that has a Santa hat, but he got a new toy that is a squeaky plush bottle of sparkling rosé, which feels like a Lisa Vanderpump creation. And if it's not, she should get on that. She should do a dog toy collaboration with PetSmart or whoever in the style of the Bret Michaels line of pet toys at PetSmart, which my sisters took advantage of when it was in stores and got me a toy for my former cat, Scully, RIP. I found a blog called amagicalmess.com. Probably not a blog I'll be spending much time on, but this looks like a paid post. Anyway, let's just go through it. Bret Michaels has created, wait, what year is this from? No date. Perfect. Okay. Bret Michaels has created his own rock and pet collection, Pets Rock, available exclusively at PetSmart. From pet beds, collars, leashes, toys, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I absolutely adore everything in this collection. We received 4 items for review. Bret Michaels Pet Rocks VIP Tea, Bret Michaels Pets Rock, Melamine Bowl with Flames, Bret Michaels Pets Rock Vinyl Boot, and Bret Michaels Pets Rock Embossed Leather Lead. Each item is high quality and just too cute. I think the prices are pretty affordable too. Oh, there are photos. Okay. I don't even remember what the thing I had was. It was some sort of toy for cats. We should bring that collection back. Speaking of my cats, I had a thought that if I had to name, speaking of my cats and then naming my food log episodes after things that I'm feeding a dog, if I had to name an episode after my cats, I thought, I don't talk about my deaf cat a lot, Weeble Wobble, also known as Noodle, but I think if I had to name an episode after him or like a biopic, I would probably call it While You Were Sleeping after the Sandra Bullock movie, which could not be made today because he's always asleep. So the biopic would just be footage of my life with him in the background, probably. This cat, Weeble Wobble, he's people love him, but if you lived with him, you would quickly realize that he is a monster who is responsible for producing some of the worst smells ever created. Daddy smells in a different way. His breath usually smells like he's been drinking piss. Okay, I want to jump into bean research. Hold on, I have to drink coffee again. I'm recording this in the morning before all my meetings to try and not be manic and distressed. Okay, bean research. I have all these beans. I'm watching bean videos because when I've cooked beans in the past, they always fall apart. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. This is a waste of my time and energy bill. Like, beans take a while to cook. Um, I don't know why. I think I was using it was like a combination of using old beans that I was getting from Pete's Market in those giant like roll around barrels that they had in the produce section filled with beans just loose out there that people were sneezing all over. And also I think I was cooking them at too high of a temperature. I don't know. Here's a tip that I heard. Overcook your beans a little bit because they will firm back up once they are cooled. So you want to overcook them a little bit. I watched a Helen Rennie video. I've seen her videos before. I don't know why. Her voice is insane. Her voice is like an ASMR influencer's dream. It's so sharp and overpronounced. And I don't know what accent she has, maybe Italian. It's out of control. But she has a bean making video that I watched where she actually does make Rancho Gordo beans. They have Gigante beans, which I totally overlooked. I should have purchased them. So she makes the Gigante beans. What are her tips? I didn't write them down. Perfect. Let me see if I can remember them. What did she do? I think she soaked them, obviously. I mean, I don't know. She also used a pressure. Everyone's like, use a pressure cooker. I don't have one. I'm not gonna buy one. I don't want explosions happening in my home. What did she do? She cooked them. I don't know. She had so many tips. She was like, you can slowly simmer them for hours like a Sicilian woman. Or you could cook them at 195 to 200 degrees for like 3 hours just to simmer, but you have to monitor the temperature. And I was like, who has time for that? Like, I don't know. I have to work during the day. I can't like sit next to my stove. I mean, I guess I could put my laptop next to the stove and have a thermometer going, but I tried that, but I had meetings, so I kept having to step away. The temperature would go up, it would go out of range, or it'd be too low. I mean, it's really hard to keep it at a low simmer, I think, to figure that out. But maybe after I cook these 9 pounds of beans, I will figure that temperature setting out on my stove and it'll be fine. Um, what did she do? Okay, so I think she recommended bringing it to a boil and then like low simmering it. But every time anybody tells me any bean cooking method that I read, I always have to cook it for longer than they tell me. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, speaking of cooking gigante beans, I went to Whole Foods and I checked out their bulk organic dried beans just to see what the price point was. It's pretty decently priced. I might be stocking up on some of their beans since we're still at war. Especially now that like they're saying that Asia's gonna run out of gas in like a day, fuel, whatever, oil. I need to order rice. Okay. So so by the way, Whole Foods bulk organic dried gigante beans for $6.69 a pound, which is actually kind of a lot, but it's Rancho Gordo pricing. Let's see what they have. So they have something called the Royal Corona bean. Enormous, thick-skinned runner beans with surprisingly creamy interior. One of our all-time bestsellers. I think it's oh no, it's back in stock. It is $7.95 a pound. But I think this is like a restock for this original product that is out of stock called the oh no, wait. Okay, so I guess they restocked both of them. the California Corona bean. I forget which one was which. Anyway, I guess I should order it. Royal Corona bean is back in stock. How do I? Yeah, I need to buy some. Okay. Um. Anyway, I guess I'll talk more about beans when I actually get into it. But Sunday recap. I recorded last Sunday, so I never even finished what I was doing. I made pork meatballs and cooked them in a red Thai curry sauce that I wanted to do based on the time that I made that I made meatball for a surprise party. I made a Thai red curry the way I usually do, except I used vegan pineapple fish sauce for the first time because that's what I have open in my fridge. I used apple cider vinegar, some soy sauce, some sugar. It was great. I think the vegan pineapple fish sauce is I mean, I also have fish sauce, but I haven't opened the bottle. I'm not gonna have concurrent fish sauce bottles open in my fridge. So I'm gonna go through this vegan pineapple fish sauce for now. It's great. I had friends in town who I talked about from Austin last week. And before they left, they mentioned that they ate at Hatch Burritos in Durham, which is a place I've been wanting to try. It's in downtown Durham. I think they make their own tortillas. They do like, Tex-Mex, American, Mexican style, like a breakfast taco, but in a burrito form. Really wanted to try that. Uh, so these Austin friends are obviously breakfast taco aficionados. Every time I visit in Austin, we do breakfast taco tours and go to all the places, and they know all the spots. They said that this spot was just okay. So I'm sad that I recommended it to them, but I'm glad that they took the hit for me. Thank you. Came all the way here, drove all the way here with children to eat at a mediocre North Carolina burrito place. Also, these are the same friends who I remember the first time I visited them in Austin. We all lived in New York together, not together, but we all worked in New York together at Momofuku. They're a couple. They moved to Austin because they're from there. They moved back, and the first time I visited them, we went out to eat somewhere, and one of their friends was eating a basket of fries, and she would only eat half of the French fry. The part of the food that her fingers were touching, she would place in a separate pile. So at the end of whatever she was eating, she would have a pile of the other half of whatever she was eating, French fries, chicken tenders, whatever. Just a pile of things that her fingers touched. Every time I eat French fries, I think of her. Okay, what else do I have in my updates? So I guess this is an update, but it really should go in the internet section. Hold on, I'm drinking coffee. And I'm not editing out my coffee pauses because I don't have time. Okay. Hyperfix. Do you remember the podcast Reply All? That was probably the first podcast that I ever listened to. They ended up getting canceled. I don't remember why. I feel like it was George Floyd era. People were like, you need diversity on your show. So they hired a third co-host who was like a non-white. He was still a guy, but he was like a non-white guy. And it was just like very performative and reactive. They're like, "Oh, we'll put someone else on here." And like I don't even remember why they were canceled in the first place, to be honest. Anyway, and I'm like, I should look it up because now I'm like going to go listen to one of the hosts' other podcasts. Like, did he do something bad? I don't even know. But I don't even think I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm not sure yet. So I thought I would give it a try. Alex, what is his name? Alex from Reply All. He showed up on my TikTok feed. His voice on TikTok sounds so different compared to his podcasting voice, so I didn't recognize him at first. But he was talking about the podcasting industry and why longer format, like really in-depth reporting podcasts are going away and why everybody I mean, we all know this. Like every podcast is a celebrity interview show because it's cheap. It's replacing the late night show. It's replacing is replacing everything. Whatever. So he's talking about how he has an in-depth research show and he needs people to support it because there isn't funding for this anymore. he has a podcast called Hyperfix. He started it in 2024. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because the episode that I listened to was about passion fruit, which is food related. And I'm a huge passion fruit fan. So this podcast or this episode was really interesting. So it was supposed to be the pilot episode 2 years ago. They never finished it and they just released it like last week or whatever. I love passion fruit. I've talked about this before because passion fruit tastes like my other favorite fruit, raspberries. There's some similar compound in there that tastes like fruit umami to me. It has a fruit umami. That's all. That's the only way I know how to describe it. It's tart and sweet, but it has like another third component that is like umami to me. How many times can I repeat that? Okay. I want to recommend this podcast, but I'm also not sure if I'm going to keep listening to it in all honesty. Um, I don't know. I this is I listened to this podcast and then I listened to the an episode of Las Culturistas. I kind of stopped listening to them. Um I started listening again because Maggie Winters was on, but then I saw that the Stradio Lab guys were on, so I was like, let me give this a listen. Um but listening to Alex on Hyperfix and listening to Las Culturistas, I don't know. I had started having these like low level thoughts, not low level, like subconscious thoughts about like why am I not enjoying this? Um and then I saw a TikTok video that sort of answered my thoughts. Okay, so this TikTok video was about television audition styles changing over time. So people when they were auditioning for television roles and performing television roles were doing a very performative announcer style voice, which slowly has changed into more conversational tones. You could see that on The Office, similar shows, Parks and Rec. I mean, you name them. Curbed. I mean, the list goes on. To now, so that was like the middle phase, and like now we've gone into this deadpan slash distracted on your phone type of voice that really appeals to Gen Z. And that's a spectrum of sorts. So listening to the Stradio Lab guys on Las Culturistas is interesting listening to like two pairs of podcasters on the same network, I think, talking to each other. I feel like the Las Culturistas duo, they're more on the spectrum in between the performative and the conversational. They're somewhere in between there compared to the Stradio Lab guys who are more in between the deadpan conversational. They're updated, if you will. And I think I enjoy listening to the Stradio Lab guys more for that reason. That's more appealing to me. Like I love when something sounds like an offhand comment, someone is saying something without thinking, whereas the Las Culturistas guys sort of, I mean, they're definitely more performative. That's just their style, I guess. But listening to Alex on Hyperfixed, I don't even remember if he was like this on Reply All or not, but it was very performative. He was recording himself in a grocery store looking for passion fruit and sort of narrating his grocery store trip. And I was like, I don't know if I can listen to this because it just feels like in between the conversational and performative on the scale of what your voice might sound like. Um But I don't know, I've been thinking about this a lot, like, why don't I wanna listen to this person? And I think it's because I mean, I always knew his, like, performativity was a piece of it, is that a word? Anyway, those are my podcast thoughts. Um, my last update before I get into my scent category is, my Dining Alone in Baltimore episode is getting a lot of traction for some reason. Apparently, people want to hear about veal agnolotti that honestly tasted like Chef Boyardee. I wish I could know more about why people are listening to certain episodes or not, you can email me if you want to tell me why. My email is fitzhenrymore@gmail.com. Okay, scent category. I ordered more scents and I forgot to try them. Whoops. I actually went to the mall on Saturday to get a new iPhone because my phone had so many problems. I had an iPhone 11. Is this interesting to talk about? It was the pixelation on the bottom of the screen was dying. I couldn't hear people when they called me, so I had to talk to everybody on speakerphone. When I opened my camera, it was just black. If I tried to open the camera from like the resting screen, like when you're I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about an iPhone. It would just go to black. So I'd like have to open my phone, unlock my phone, and then get into the camera. If I was listening to an iPod and then trying to use a camera at the same time, it would freeze. I couldn't update my phone because I didn't have enough storage, because my birding apps are taking up too much of my memory. I had to delete them. It still didn't help. I mean, it was just like going downhill fast. I still got $30 for it, which is insane. And I only paid like $180 for a iPhone 17e. This is not, I don't have any paid placements or advertising, by the way. This is my life. This is real. Anyway, so I got a new phone. I was at the mall and I walked through the department store and I was like, oh my God, I'm in a department store. Let me smell stuff. I also walked through a Sephora and I was like, let me smell stuff. But I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't want salespeople to come up to me and be like, what kind of scent are you looking for? I'm not looking for any scent. I'm just here to smell stuff. Um, and it's different. I think controlled environments where I'm doing one scent a day and wearing it and maybe wearing it a second time is actually a better way to test scents than like going into Sephora next to teenagers who are spraying the place up. Um, so no, it's free, but it's not worth it. Okay. Scents, real scents. Brian has been wearing a face lotion. I keep meaning to go in his bathroom and try and figure out what the hell this is. It smells so strongly that when he puts it on his face, the cats run away. They hide under the bed. It smells like he's pointing a bottle of Febreze at his face and pulling the trigger. Febreze suicide. Sorry, trigger word. Trigger. Okay. Um, so he needs to stop. I keep asking him, please stop wearing that. And then he is like, sorry, it's the only face lotion I have. Like, there's no other option. Like, he couldn't possibly buy anything on his own. Um, so I'm sure this bottle of face lotion will last us for the next 10 years and this will just keep happening. Trendy. My algorithm is like, oh, you Googled Fern perfume. Like, let's keep telling you about expensive, trendy boutique fragrances. Lore, Lore, who according to Reddit is just a marketing ploy and will be gone in a year. I don't know. It's like some like startup makeup. This is so boring. Why am I even talking about this? Anyway, Lore is a scent house, I guess, but probably won't be soon. Clue is being pushed on me. I actually knew about Clue because they launched in Tusk. Tusk is a store in Chicago that my friend Mary Eleanor runs. It's really interesting. I feel weird saying it's my friend because whenever I meet someone through my sister, I'm like, it's my sister's friend. I don't want to steal people's friends. But technically, I do know this person. It's a cool store. If you're in Chicago, you should go to Tusk. I think I have rugs for sale there. But I think Clue like launched a butter fragrance or something there. I don't remember. I think they had a butter party. I'm probably misremembering any of this. Okay, and my last scent of the week is this week, Daddy's legs smelled like an airplane. Okay, let's get into the internet because we're already at 35 minutes. 90 Day Before the 90 Days. The nightmare of a person, Elise from Miami, who owns hundreds of bikinis, goes to Australia to meet a man. that they met on the internet, that she met on the internet. They go out on a date and they get chicken schnitzels, which I guess in Australia they call snitties. Wait, hold on. Let me go back to the passion fruit episode because this is also related to Australia. The passion fruit episode was interesting. You should probably check it out if you like passion fruit. It's an investigation, sorry, hyperfix, passion fruit episode. It's called Passion of the Fruit. It's an investigation into why passion fruit isn't available in American markets in the same way that it's available in Australia. This guy called in from Australia. He's like, I just moved from Australia to Texas, and where is the passion fruit? In Australia, they have competing markets for passion fruit sodas. It's so popular. The default yogurt flavor is passion fruit. It sounds like a paradise. I would be moving to Australia if if they weren't about to run out of oil. But it's so plentiful over there. And so this episode is an investigation into supply chains and labor markets and importing rules and disease and pest and crops and why we don't have a thriving passion fruit market in the US. Super interesting. I won't spoil it. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh, okay. So 90 Day Fiance, they go to Australia to get chicken schnitzels, which in Australia they call snitties. I think I took a picture of it. I don't know how to share a photo with you, but this photo was insane. I was making fun of Katie from America's Culinary Cup, who made the slider with the dimensions of a pepper grinder. This sandwich was even worse. It was just, I don't, I'm at a loss for words. Guys, let's remember to consider human anatomy when we're creating food for human consumption. I do like the term snitties, though, chicken snitties. Elise did not know what a chicken schnitzel was. I keep encountering adults who don't know what chicken schnitzel is, which is alarming. This is not food related, but it is internet related, and I feel compelled to bring it up. Joe Giudice, which is an insane pronunciation of that name. He's actually from Italy. I don't know why he says Giudice. It should be pronounced Giudice. Anyway, he's Teresa's husband from Real Housewives of New Jersey. He has infiltrated my TikTok algorithm. He was deported, apparently. I unfortunately stopped watching Real Housewives of New Jersey around, I don't know, season 7. I need to catch up. I think one of the last episodes I watched was when the daughter sings, "Waking up every morning, thinking about so many things." Oh God, should I delete that? I don't have time to edit. Anyway, he lives in the Caribbean now and on my TikTok. He wants us to know that he has the ability to find you a boat, a van, or a bus in the Bahamas. All you have to do, sorry, are the Bahamas in the Caribbean? I don't know. All you have to do is tell him how many people you have, and he will find you a van or a bus that will hold that many people. I have no plans to charter a van or a bus in the Bahamas, but it's definitely not stopping me from watching these videos on a daily basis. I actually went onto his Facebook because he's posting daily. And I guess you can review people now on Facebook, maybe if only if they're a business and someone wrote that he is a racist piece of shit. So maybe I should stop watching his videos. Um anyway, okay, I've left myself a mysterious TikTok video. Let's open it and see what it is. Oh God. It's a ranch milkshake from Great Wolf Lodge in Southern California. It has I left a note for myself that said nightmare eating experience. Oh my God. It's so sloppy. It's like falling out of the cup. It's a plastic cup. The ranch milkshake is falling out everywhere. It's like sweet ranch. Um, Whipped cream, lime. Um, the guy's wincing the whole time while he's eating it. I'm exiting out of the video. Okay, better version of the Jimmy Dean nightmare casserole. This is also a TikTok video. Oh, yeah, now that I made that Jimmy Dean recipe, I keep seeing recipes that are the same. Brian's mom gave me a stack of like community church cookbooks, and I keep seeing them. Okay, so this is basically that. This is a Sarah Moulton video. My mom is a huge fan. This is her grandmother Ruth Moulton's cheese sandwich souffle. A comforting classic dish that brings together simple ingredients for a delightful meal. Imagine the familiar taste of cheese transformed. Where's the recipe? Okay, I actually have to watch the video. Oh my god. Okay, so it's like what I made, but it's like an appropriate amount of bread and an appropriate amount of eggs, an appropriate amount of milk. It's not like a fossil. How do I get rid of the how do I exit out of the I feel like a boomer. Okay. Anyway, if she would make it, what is she doing? She has a square pan like I used. We're already starting off well. 4 slices of white bread in the pan. They fit perfectly on the bottom of the pan. Top with cheese, plenty of cheese, some ham. Okay, looks good. What are you doing? I'm just watching this on silent. She's putting ham down. She's putting more bread down. So she's got 4 sandwiches in the bottom of the bowl. Okay, now she's cracking 3 eggs into a bowl, which doesn't seem like enough. She's whisking them. Now she's adding 2 cups of milk. Now she's pouring it all in. So it's super milky, but at least it's not going to be dry. Now she's going to cover it and put it in the fridge to set up. Everything's going to get absorbed for an hour. She's baking it on 350 only for like 30 minutes. See, like 350 for 30 minutes. That's half the time of the Jimmy Dean recipe. So it's not going to be dry as hell. But also, it has like, hold on, it has 8 times as much liquid, maybe 16 times as much liquid. So thank you for giving us the proper version of that. I saw a sorry, this is not food related, but sometimes I gotta talk about stuff. Someone commented, there's a video on TikTok where someone was like, "What's the funniest TikTok comment you've ever seen?" Um, and so I had to add mine. I think the funniest TikTok comment I've ever seen is it was a video of someone giving a haircut at a salon, and the haircut was horrendous. And someone commented underneath, "Where is your salon? I want to open a hat shop next door." Okay, I'm watching Lisa Kudrow's original season of The Comeback. Brian actually picked out this show, which, you know, is usually real hit or miss. But so I guess Lisa Kudrow is like coming out with a 3rd season of this. There's 10 years in between each season, I think. So we're watching the original season from 2004. As soon as he put it on, I yelled 2005, or I yelled no, I think I yelled 2004. I yelled 2004. He looked it up. It was released in 2005, so it was probably filmed in 2004. Identifying media and music by year is one of my favorite hobbies and one of my skills. I think I got good at it just from working in archives and having to date things, but I need there to be like a show or like a game show, and I need to go on it and win some money for this. Okay, anyway, the reason I'm bringing up this show is that there's a character on the show who's a writer. They have like so the show is like shot in the style of The Office. Lisa Kudrow says that she was inspired by The Office. So she's being followed around by a camera crew. It's scripted, but she's being followed around by a camera crew who are recording a reality show while she's on a TV show. It's very layered. I don't even know if that makes sense. Anyway, on the TV show that she's on in the show, they have a staff of all male writers, and they bring on a female writer who is eating in every scene. That's the joke, that she's kind of overweight and she's eating in every scene. She's just eating craft services. But she's eating, in one scene, she's eating Oreos. She's eating the 2004 version of Oreos when they were still when the regular Oreo, not the double stuff, when the regular Oreo was divine and fat and had plenty of filling in it compared to today's Oreos. I'm not going to go into it. There's plenty of coverage already about how today's double stuffed Oreos are just regular Oreos from 2004. It's actually amazing that Oreo thins are still able to exist because pretty soon they're just going to be regular Oreos. Um the Anyway, this show's great. I'm already on season 2. I don't know if it's improvised or not, but it's very good. They play a Destiny's Child song at one point, which was shocking that they got the clearance for this. I guess it's an HBO show. They have a lot of pretty big music that they probably paid a lot of money for. Anyway, they played an old Destiny's Child song off of the first album, which I had, and it reminded me of the time in about the year 2001 when I reluctantly went over to a classmate's house for the first time. She was always the class pet. She was friends with one of my friends, so she wanted to be friends with me. I didn't really care, but I was like, I guess to keep the peace, I have to be friends with you. Why can't we all just hang out together? Why do you want me to come over to your house? Her dad was a house builder, so they had a huge house. Anyway, I went over to her house. She and her sister had a small computer room upstairs next to their bedrooms where they each had a computer. And she only had one MP3 file on her computer. We spent the whole time on the computer. I don't even know what we were doing on the computer, but I remember this. I'll never forget it. She only had one MP3 file on the computer, Jumpin' Jumpin' by Destiny's Child. So she hit play, and then every time the song ended, she just hit play again for about 4 hours. I know every word to that song. You know, my mom for picking me up and getting me out of there. Oh my god. I've never invited people over my house, a few people, a few like my closest friends, but anytime anybody random like that would invite me over, I would always go out of morbid curiosity to see their house and see their one MP3 file on their computer and what torture they would put me through. Okay, let's get into Top Chef, season 23, episode 3. We open with a scene of one of the contestants, Jennifer, who is competing alongside her husband, telling us that her 11-year-old nephew peer pressured her into jumping off a rope swing like a week before shooting, and she hurt her arm. Damn, an 11-year-old, like calling out an 11-year-old like that on TV is nuts. I mean, she was like bashing her 11-year-old nephew on the show. He's not going to recover from that. She ends up leaving to get an X-ray. Emeril Lagasse is the guest celebrity. Why does he talk the way that he does? I had a high school Spanish teacher that spoke the same way, like she was constantly sucking on potatoes and candy. Also, I don't know, because of Tubi or some insane free streaming service, I've recently watched some of his old shows, Emerald Live or whatever. Have you, I mean, like, revisit those. I used to watch those in high school when I would walk on the treadmill. Oh my God. He's a creep. He's insane. He's a creep. It's like, it's not good. Like, I don't know if it's anything where we should like cancel him and get him off of Top Chef, but it's just like, I don't know. I guess like Conan was doing the same weird stuff and everybody loves Conan. I guess that was just male culture back then. Okay, so liver mush is the secret quick fire ingredient in this episode. There is a liver mush festival in North Carolina that I keep on my calendar, but I never end up going to it because it is like 3 hours away. So, everyone's losing their minds. But like, let's just like take a step back and think about this. This is Scrapple. This is liverwurst. I don't know. I'm fine with either of those. Pate, like, have you had pate? Brian and I met a Microsoft employee who bought farmland near us, and he raises pigs every year to process the meat with his wife. They make sausage, they make scrapple, they make pulled pork, they make all kinds of stuff. And We feed his pigs our leftover produce, tomatoes, watermelons, what have you. And in exchange, when he kills the pigs, he gives us some of the meat that they process. Great stuff. And I grew up eating liverwurst. My parents like liverwurst. They stopped eating it after the liverwurst Boar's Head factory fiasco, where they had to shut down the Boar's Head factory. But they just started eating it again. So good luck to them. The worst of the Boar's Head factories that they had to shut down was actually really close to my house. Boar's Head was like, yeah, we cleaned it, but I'm not eating Boar's Head. Someone made a banh mi with the liver mush, which I thought was super smart. Someone made a liver mush Benedict. That was cool. Nana, who is the one who's constantly losing her mind and is a personal chef, she made French toast and it flopped. Anthony won for pairing liver mush with tomatoes, which I thought was the most boring dish, but it was the most restaurant, I would say. The elimination challenge was to feature 2 items that have been dyed with natural dyes to represent the textile industry, which is a huge part of North Carolina history. Tricolor pasta was an option as an ingredient, Brian's favorite. He is always buying the when I go to the grocery store with him, it feels like I have a child who's like finding the shittiest, cheapest tricolor rotini pasta on the bottom shelf and running and bringing it to me and is like, "Can we get this?" And I'm like, "At least get a good kind. At least get like something remotely Italian or maybe organic." He's finding pasta brands that I've never even didn't even know existed. Yeah, so anytime I'm out of town, he goes to the grocery store and buys boxes of tricolor rotini pasta and hoards them in the cabinet. My dad does the same thing. I don't know what's going on. And then like I have to figure out what to do with them because he's not cooking. It's the only grocery store item that Brian buys for himself besides Coke Zero. Um Yeah, and Brian was falling asleep the entire episode, but every time they mentioned tricolor pasta, he would jolt awake. Sherry, who's annoying, is making a tricolor Spätzle. It's not going well because she covers it with a white sauce, so you can't even see the colors. I have to say the Top Chef music is feeling a little bit more fun, a little bit more club, a little bit more gay, a little bit more Bravo this season. And I'm thinking that Kristen, the host, was complaining on Watch What Happens Live that none of the other Bravo celebrities on Traders remember that she was on Bravo and wouldn't include her in their like alliance. But I have to admit, I've seen every single episode of Top Chef and I constantly forget that it's a Bravo show. So I'm thinking that maybe they're trying to play up the gay culture aspect of Top Chef to remind us that it's part of the Bravo family. Someone's making a deconstructed lasagna, and Emerald is trying very hard to comprehend the concept of this. Nana is making raw chicken and losing her shit again. She only ended up plating one component of her dish. I think it was some sort of grits or mush. Everybody This challenge went so badly, everybody is in the bottom except for the top 3 people. So the top 3 is Lawrence, the guy who cooks Turkish food. He made rainbow bao. He won. Everyone else pretty much blew it, especially Nana, who, spoiler alert, she sent home. Nana is an interesting name. It's grandmother. I mean, is that a nickname? Anyway, I don't want to make rude comments about people's names, but every time hear the name Nana, I think of the dog from Peter Pan. It's the Disney movie. There's a scene in the Disney movie version of Peter Pan in the beginning where they're at home with Nana, their dog, and one of the adults is filling up a little white bowl of water for Nana, and they're cupping their hands around this bowl to carry it to Nana, and then they place it on the ground just so that the water doesn't tip out. I have a very similar bowl, and I like to recreate that scene for my cats. I sort of like cup the bowl like I'm an animated character, fill it with water, and then gently place it on the ground just so I don't know, there's something about that visual. There's certain very visceral animations or visual memories that like make me want to eat them, and this is one of those scenes where I wanted to eat the bowl. And that's what I think of anytime that they talk about Nana on Top Chef. Unfortunately, she was sent home, so we won't be talking about her anymore. Okay, America's Culinary Cup, Season 1, Episode 4. We are back in the penthouse. That could not be more hideous. It looks like they consulted with Lisa Vanderpump's furniture company that is somehow still in business to create this penthouse. This episode's commandment is sauce. The first round must feature a mother sauce: hollandaise, bechamel, velouté, espagnole, or tomate. Diana wins for her squash blossom sauce thickened with masa instead of flour. What is this show called? America's Culinary Cup is the straight version of Top Chef. I've realized they were like, let's make another Food Network style competition show for straight audiences based on Top Chef. There's a Reddit thread or a subreddit. There's a Reddit thread on there's a subreddit about this show, and people on this subreddit are keeping track of the mistakes and the confessionals per contestant, which might be the most interesting aspect of the show at this point. I wonder if, I mean, I don't really go on subreddits for reality shows, but I bet people are doing this for every reality show and I just didn't realize it. Like trying to predict who the winner is based on the editing. Like how many confessionals do you get? How many mistakes do you I don't know. Like that's not fun for me. I just want to like watch along, then like make it into a math problem. Okay, so round 2. So sorry, there are 3 rounds in this show. The first one was the mother sauce round. And I gotta say, the Diana transforming the French mother sauce into the squash blossom sauce was actually pretty cool. Round 2 is making up your own mother sauce based on a comfort food memory from your childhood. Then they cut to a scene where they make 2 of the contestants wash their own dishes with Dawn Power Wash. You know that they're not washing their own dishes on this show, first of all. They're making them wash the dishes with the Dawn Power Wash spray bottle and talk about how much they love using this Dawn Power Wash spray bottle, especially at home. I was like, you haven't been home, you've been on this show. Okay, round 3. Wait a minute, I didn't even talk about round 2. It was so boring, I guess I skipped over it. Okay, round 3, Buddha, Melina, Keith, and Emily are in the bottom, and they have to make a motherfucking sauce, which they had to bleep out because they're on CBS, with ingredients chosen by the other contestants. So the other contestants went around with a shopping basket and picked out 6 ingredients from the kitchen, and the 4 people in the bottom have to use these ingredients to make a sauce. The ingredients are white miso, coriander seed, preserved lemons, grapes, vanilla beans, and pasilla chilies. Keith ends up making a mole, which I think is smart, except he also makes raw chicken. I don't know why everybody's addicted to making raw poultry on this show and Top Chef. On 2026 competition cooking shows, which is the only network cooking show left. Cooking instruction shows are over, apparently, besides Meghan Markle, who's not even a cook. Famously not even a cook, except she has a cooking show on Netflix somehow. The only way to watch instructional cooking these days is to watch like old PBS or to go on TikTok. But anyway, Keith, yeah, he cooked the raw chicken, but he turned it around and he made a fabulous dish. Spoiler alert, Melina goes home for making dry ass pork and an unbalanced sauce that was thick and chunky. Ooh. That didn't showcase any of the ingredients, really. If Buddha had gone home, I probably would have stopped watching the show. Okay, wow, we're an hour in. Let's get into what I ate last week. March 23rd, 2026. It was a Monday. 8:30 a.m. Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. 9:30 a.m. Friendly Market chicken salad with back to nature harvest whole wheat crackers. 1:30 p.m. A bowl of bran flakes with milk and Andy Capp's hot fries. 6:30 p.m. Leftover pork meatballs and Thai red curry with potatoes and kale over basmati rice and black lentils. 7:30 p.m. Blue Bell coffee ice cream. Brian came home this evening with a 12-pack of Diet Coke, which was a shocker. He's a Coke Zero drinker, like a serious Coke Zero drinker. I remember a couple years ago meeting up with Maggie Winters for, I think she was doing a show in Durham. We went to her show and we went out to dinner with her, and she had a Coke Zero in her bag. And I was like, oh, Coke Zero. And she was like, oh my God, I know, it's so crazy, right? I have to drink like almost one every day. Um, for context, Brian drinks about 6 to 8 a day. So I was like, don't worry, you're doing fine. Brian, on the way home, stopped. Okay, now we're back in present time. Sorry. Brian, sometimes instead of like stocking up on the weekend, I'm like, why don't you buy 4 cases on the weekend? He goes out of his way on his almost 1.5 hour drive home from work every day, stops and gets Coke Zero every so often. So he stopped at Dollar General to get Coke Zero. He said there was a crowd of people standing around the empty space on the shelf where the Coke Zero usually is, making phone calls to their loved ones about there not being any Coke Zero. This is the new opioid crisis. So Brian had to get Diet Coke. I will say, sipping Diet Coke after being conditioned to sip Coke Zero, Diet Coke tastes like lime seltzer. It tastes like water compared to Coke Zero. Also, in case I haven't mentioned this, one of the main drawbacks to dating me is the first sip tax, where I get the first sip of every fresh can of Coke Zero that Brian opens, but only if they're cold. If they're warm, he can drink it on his own. Um, Also, I think this podcast could be a little bit more interesting I mean, I'm already talking a lot about what Brian eats, and like I cook for him every day and he basically only eats what I cook for him. I mean, I know he's sneaking off to gas stations and eating weird things, but I think this podcast could be a little bit more interesting if I stalked Brian and recorded everything he ate and broadcasted it without him knowing. I could disguise my voice like on a like police murder show. Um I'd probably have to like go through his trash in his car and look for receipts for what he was eating at the gas station. I'd probably also have to hire an accountant to keep track of all the Coke Zeros he drinks in a day in order to make this podcast. This is not really related, but it's in my notes, so I guess I'll read it. One of my favorite Brian quotes is, "Guys who work in libraries are time travelers from 2005." Guys, the type of guy who works in a library, they're all time travelers from 2005. It's very true. They all had ponytails and rectangle glasses. March 24th, 2026, it was a Tuesday. 8 a.m., Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m., leftover pork meatballs and curry over basmati rice and black lentils. 12 p.m., a bowl of bran flakes with milk. 2:30 p.m., back to nature harvest whole wheat crackers. 6:30 p.m., shrimp and alubia blanca beans with Aleppo pepper, chives, and lemon, and olive oil toasted ideals focaccia made at home. 7:30 p.m., Blue Bell coffee ice cream. I will say, adding a few, I don't know, I added like half a cup of black lentils to my basmati rice. It stained all the rice, so all the rice was black, but it was good. I'm gonna keep doing this for health. I cooked a bunch of shrimp that Brian's mom got us from the beach, probably 2 pounds. This was good, but I wish that I had done I don't remember how to say it. I've made it before. It's like, is it gambas al ajo? Al ajillo. Gambas al ajillo. Yeah, it's just like shrimp and garlic flavored oil. Shrimp garlic bread, basically. Okay, so at this point in the week, what is this? This is a Tuesday. I don't have a ton of groceries in the fridge. I had only spent about $300 total that month. And that includes the almost $70 Rancho Gordo bean order. And at this point in the week, it's March 24th. By the end of March, let's see, it's almost the end of March, I will have spent about $425 on groceries for 2 people. And that includes like a specialty order of beans. Although I did eat out a lot more this month with my friends being in town. Anyway, so at this point in the week, the only vegetables I didn't go grocery shopping because I had people in town. The only vegetables I have are a small paper bag of collards from the NC State Farm, some arugula, carrots, a couple carrots, and some lemons, some frozen peas, and some frozen peppers, and frozen shrimp. So, first of all, I wanted to try these alubia blanca beans. Let's see. Let me open up the description in Rancho Gordo. These were highly rated. Small, versatile white bean. It has a creamy texture and holds its shape even with long, slow cooking, which is ideal for me because I cannot keep beans together to save my life. Classic white navy beans are one of our commonly requested items. Our alubia blancas are similar in appearance, but far superior in flavor and texture. You can use them in all kinds of cooking, from Mexican to Tuscan to even classic Yankee baked beans. In Spain, dried beans are popularly known as alubias, and many traditional dishes call for alubias blancas, a common name for white beans. So, this I did like a play on the Spanish shrimp and garlic, so kind of makes sense here. Um, so wait, let's go back to that page because they give you cooking instructions. So here are the official Rancho Gordo cooking instructions, which I checked. They're the same for every bean. Check beans for debris. Rinse thoroughly in a large pot. Saute aromatic vegetables, onions, garlic, celery, carrot, and olive oil. Add beans and enough water to cover by about 2 inches. Bring to a full boil for 10 to 15 minutes. Reduce heat to a gentle simmer using a lid to help regulate the heat and gently cook until done, 1 to 3 hours. Salt when the beans start to soften. A pre-soak of 2 to 6 hours will lessen the cooking time. Okay, so here's what I did. I did a 4-hour soak. So actually perfectly somewhere between 2 and 6 hours. Then I cooked on medium. I don't like putting things in the beans too early because if you put like oil and good flavoring in the beans too early, you need to skim. I like to skim the beans, and like all the good fats and flavor will float to the top with the scum that you want to scrape off. So I wait. I cook the beans and then I skim it. So I cooked on medium with 8 cups of the soaking liquid for an hour. I skimmed off all the scum and then I added salt at that point because I hear that it helps. I mean, I hear conflicting things, but some people say it helps keep the beans together, helps strengthen them. And then I halved a sprouted red onion. I smashed a garlic clove. I added those just whole and raw. And I continued cooking for about 3 hours until they were soft for a total of about 4 hours of cooking time. And it was like, I don't know, like I tried to keep it at a simmer, but I was scared because I was on meetings. So I kept it at probably about 185 degrees. And I take back what I said about 1 pound of beans not being plenty. It's fine. 1 pound of beans at a time is plenty. Okay, so here is the recipe that I use for dinner. Lemony shrimp and bean stew by Sue Lee. You already know that this is a New York Times recipe by the title. Lemony, herby, garlicky shrimp. It had 5 stars and over 21K ratings. Here we go. 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon zest, and 2 tablespoons of the juice. 1 teaspoon of paprika, 2 garlic cloves grated, 1 pound of peeled deveined shrimp, 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 large leek or 1 onion, 1 15-ounce can of cannellini beans or other white beans, 2 cups of chicken or vegetable stock, 2 tablespoons of parsley, which is optional, toasted bread for serving, optional. So I basically doubled everything except for the onion, except for the butter, which I could have used more butter, but I didn't want to use a full stick of butter. And I didn't double the stock. And I subbed Chinese chili flakes and Aleppo pepper instead of paprika because my paprika is way too strong. And I subbed chives for parsley. Also, I do not understand how to use the word sub. When you sub something for something else, I subbed chives for parsley. Like, I, I can't tell time and I can't understand like the order of this. It's like when someone says I sub chives for parsley, I'm like, so did you put parsley in or did you put chives? I don't understand. Also, I should have salted the shrimp more. I was thinking about it. When we eat shrimp cocktail, we just eat like raw shrimp that are unsalted. Why do we do this? It's like acceptable to eat unsalted shrimp. Um, this was great. I mean, I didn't even put the cooking instructions in here, but you could imagine. First I did a very light sear on the shrimp. Oh no, wait. So you marinate the shrimp in the lemon zest, the paprika or the pepper, the grated garlic cloves, and then let that sit, and then you sear those off, remove them from the pan. Then you cook the onion. This is all in the 4 tablespoons of butter, by the way. Then you add the beans and the stock. And I had a leftover frozen round of focaccia from Ideals, rosemary focaccia, in my freezer, which was better than the previous one. This was like a little bit more light and airy and properly fermented. Okay, March 25th, 2026. It was a Wednesday, 7 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half, and a bowl of bran flakes with milk. 11 a.m. Leftover shrimp and beans, and a cup of coffee with half and half at the office. Cake room. New York Times cooking page a day calendar recipes for pineapple ham pizza, pan fried tofu with red curry paste, and vanilla creme brulee. 4 p.m. 2 small bags of sour cream and cheddar Ruffles potato chips. 7 p.m. Frozen Screamin' Sicilian pepperoni pizza and romaine lettuce with roasted pepitas, Ideals focaccia croutons, Parmesan black pepper, and Brianna's creamy Caesar dressing made at home. 7:30 p.m. Blue Bell coffee ice cream. I ate my leftover shrimp and beans cold because I didn't want to overcook the shrimp, and it was great. It could have used that 4 extra tablespoons of butter. I mean, that would have pushed it over the edge into like decadent territory, but it was a good recipe overall. What else? I went to Whole Foods after work. It was a great day for sales at Whole Foods on things I would have bought anyway or wanted to buy. Organic garlic and herb flavored water crackers at Whole Foods were their store brand were on last chance, aka clearance. How the hell would you get rid of these? These are one of the best crackers that Whole Foods has. $2.15 a box. I grabbed 4 boxes. I should have asked for a pallet. I guess you can get a pallet deal at Whole Foods. I don't know. Brian told me that from when he used to work there. I don't know if it's true anymore. Now that Amazon owns it. So, sorry guys, this is supposed to be a positive section. I got some good deals. You know, I've been wanting cocoa powder to make a cake or whatever. They finally had a good sale on cocoa powder, the Guitard brand. Guitard. How are we saying this? Guitar Center. Got it on sale. Got a bottle of Brianna's avocado oil based creamy Caesar salad dressing on sale. Got a bottle of Kelowna whole milk on sale, which I was going to buy anyway. And Food Line did not have any fried chicken tenders, which are actually cutlets. Okay, March 26, 2026. It was a Thursday. 8 a.m. Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. 9:30 a.m. A bowl of bran flakes with milk. 10:30 a.m. Leftover frozen pizza. 12:30 p.m. An olive oil toasted slice of La Farm sourdough with good culture chive cream cheese. 6 p.m. Orecchiette with pancetta, arugula, alubia blanca beans, ricotta, lemon made at home. 7 p.m. Blue Bell Millennium Crunch ice cream. Can't stay away from chives, even if they're purchased. This good culture chive cream cheese was on sale. It's pretty good. It tasted like chip dip at first, and then it gets really lemony. It's pretty good. I think I prefer other cream cheeses, but apparently it has probiotics. I was wrestling with what to do with this pack of pancetta that I got for sale at Whole Foods and some ricotta that I got for sale at Food Lion. Was I going to do a tomato-based pasta bake for the week or a beans and greens with pancetta? Because I also had these beans. I need to use all the beans in my fridge. So I used I don't know, I used a really fair amount of beans in the shrimp dish that I made. And then I had about a quart container left of beans for the week. So I was like, let me do a beans and greens with I had a pack of arugula I needed to use up. I had this pancetta, but I was like, the beans and greens might not yield enough for 2 work lunches for Friday the next day. So combine the two concepts into one dish, a white pasta. A pasta, ricotta, beans, arugula, lemon dish. That's innovation. So I looked at New York Times ricotta pasta recipes just to see what ratios they were doing. They were using about 8 ounces of ricotta for 1 pound of pasta. I ended up using 16 ounces of ricotta. I seasoned it with one grated garlic clove, the juice and zest of 1 lemon, garlic powder, salt and pepper. I put that in. What did I do? I mean, obviously, I cooked the pancetta first in olive oil until it was crispy. Then an onion. Did I add anything else? Then the beans. Some wine would have been nice. Then I let the arugula wilt. Whole container of arugula in there. And then I added the pasta, a little bit of pasta water. Oh, and Parmesan. I should add that in there. And Parmesan. Finish it with Parmesan. And then you add the ricotta off the heat. Add the ricotta and the Parmesan off the heat, stir it together. It was like a little bit too ricotta-y. Maybe I should have used 8 ounces, but I could have used something else. Maybe some butter, a little more fat. I don't know. March 27th, 2026. It was a Friday. 7 a.m. Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. Cake room, nothing. 12 p.m. Food Lion spicy chicken tenders with cookout ranch. 6 p.m. Leftover alubia blanca beans with onions, harissa, tomato paste, chives, la tourangelle, olive oil, and parmesan, and olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough made at home. 7 p.m. Blue Bell Millennium Crunch ice cream. Went to the office. Nobody was there. There were like 2 people there. And I was like, I have meetings all afternoon. I don't want to be stuck in this dark hole of an office. It was the most gorgeous day. I walked around campus. Everything was in bloom. All the students were out. I tried to get a coffee. The line was out the door at the student coffee shop. It was the perfect day. And I was like, let me make it even more perfect by going home. Going to Food Lion, getting spicy chicken tenders that I ate. I cut into strips like a katsu, cut it up, and then ate it with cookout ranch, which was delicious. Their spicy chicken tenders are spicy. I know I keep saying this, but they like keep my stomach warm all day. It's like a heating pad. Then for dinner, I was like, I still kind of want a beans and greens type thing, but it was Friday. I don't have to worry about leftovers for lunch. Don't have to worry about making enough food for lunch. So put some oil in the pan with some onions, got them all soft, added harissa and tomato paste. Then I added the beans, a little bit of leftover chicken stock, let that cook out, let it thicken, and then I topped it with chives, olive oil, and parm, and then served that with toasted bread. It was great. Very simple. It's like that's actually the perfect amount of food for dinner, just like a bowl of beans with bread. maybe a salad. Millennium Crunch ice cream is back. Thank God. Um, what else? There were some good deals on pre-made ravioli at Food Lion today, which I almost went for, but after eating lipstick soup the other week, I am afraid of purchasing something that might make my dinner taste like a byproduct of the whaling industry. No disrespect to Brian's mother making us soup. What a lovely thing to do. But something that she put in the soup, which I think was like a Food Lion product, tasted wrong. Made a huge mistake this week by not getting myself bottles of kombucha to slowly ration for myself throughout the week. So I'm feeling extra thirsty, and it's finally warm out, and it's reminding me of being thirsty in New York and wanting to drink a mash grapefruit soda, which apparently is still available. I don't know if you remember. I guess they're in cans now, but they originally sold in these really fat, stout plastic bottles with big caps. Mash, MASH, grapefruit citrus sing. Delicious. It was kind of like an Orangina, and they had different flavors. What were the other flavors? Okay, I'm like looking at the suggested products on this foodservicedirect.com, and you might also like Pantene hair curl moist conditioner. No. What are the other flavors? Mash soda. Lemon peel and ginger root, mango and blood orange, and then a pomegranate blueberry. They really have not updated them. Oh, I guess they have a watermelon lemon lime. I don't remember that one. Yeah, I don't know where you can get these anymore besides foodservicedirect.com, which I'm not going to be ordering from. Okay, March 28th, 2026. It was a Saturday, 8 a.m. Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. 12 p.m. Jasmine tea, pork dumplings and chili oil, egg drop soup, basil tofu, Chinese greens with garlic, Chongqing chicken, and white rice at Taipei 101 in Cary, North Carolina. 5 p.m. Back to nature, whole wheat harvest crackers with good cultured chive cream cheese. 7 p.m. Bluebell Millennial Crunch ice cream. Okay, this was the day I went to the mall. Brian was like, let's drive an hour to the mall and go out to eat before food prices get even worse than they are and we can no longer afford to eat out. So, and I was like, who knows I don't even know what electronics or anything is going to cost in the future. So let me just go get an iPhone now. I was like prepared to spend a boatload of money and be upset. I only spent 180. Oh, I already talked about this. Sorry. Got a deal on an iPhone. Went to the mall. What a nightmare. Teenagers running to the doors of the mall, excited, so excited to be at the mall. I mean, I don't think the mall ever went away. So in between eating at Taipei 101 and going to the mall, we went thrifting. Went to a couple of thrift stores. I bought a painting of a basketball. It's now hanging in my bedroom. I don't even like basketball, but it was intriguing. There was a matching painting of a soccer ball. Brian said that he was sad to separate them, but my ideas needed editing, and I appreciate his editing. This family of women was also at the same thrift stores that we were going to, and they were yelling at each other in all of the stores the entire time, talking shit about each other, trying to get me involved. At one point, one of them found a book about Tiger Woods and was yelling across the store at the rest of her family members, trying to get them to come see the Tiger Woods book, but she was ignored. Ooh, I have an Instagram link. I think it's the Ideal Special, which I tried to get Brian excited about, but he was not into it. Here's Ideal's special of the week: chicken cutlet, kale, brown butter Caesar dressing, Parmesan crisp, grated parm, preserved lemon, celery. I don't want preserved lemon, I think, or celery. I like the idea of a Caesar, though. I like a Caesar anything. Okay, March 29th, 2026. It was a Sunday. 9 a.m. Little Waves coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m. 2 sunny eggs poached in butter. Over olive oil, toasted La Farm sourdough, and Texas Pete garlic hot sauce made at home. Cape Cod, sorry, losing my mind. 3 p.m. Cape Cod sour cream and onion potato chips with dip, hot chicken salad, broccoli salad, white rice, 2 glasses of La Marca Prosecco Rosé, banana cream pie, and a cup of coffee with half and half at Brian's parents' house. 7:30 p.m., a small pour of Guinness. So went over to Brian's parents' house for a monthly family dinner based on whoever's birthday it is. It was Brian's dad's birthday, so he got to pick out the menu this time. Brian's brother put on a playlist on the TV that should have been called "Do You Want to Feel Like You're in an Episode of Arrested Development?" It was a lot of 70s music, like who's the guy from the Eagles? Dan Henley. Huey Lewis and the News. The Cape Cod potato chips were amazing. I love when there are a lot of layered and then folded up chips in the batch. It's like eating a fortune cookie, but it's made out of potato chips. The broccoli salad tasted exactly like the broccoli salad from the Whole Foods salad bar, which I loved. Hot chicken salad is also referred to as Ma Ann's chicken casserole or Caroline casserole, named after me, unfortunately, because the first time I ate at Brian's mom's house, she made this casserole, and I told her that I liked it because I wanted to be nice because it was the first time I was meeting her. So she thinks that I like this casserole. So she named it after me, and she makes it every time it's my birthday. I asked her this time, I was like, what is the actual name of this dish? And she said, oh, hot chicken salad. Doesn't make it any better. Actually makes it worse. She gave me a whole stack of cookbooks, but one of them is the Cokesbury United Methodist Church Cookbook, which is in Henderson, North Carolina. And here it is, hot chicken salad. Here we go. 2 cups of chopped cooked chicken, 3 hard-boiled eggs chopped, 1 can of sliced water chestnuts, 1 can cream of chicken soup undiluted, 1 cup of chopped celery, half a cup of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, salt and pepper to taste, crumbled potato chips. So you can imagine what that tastes like. It's horrendous. It smells like rubber. The potato chips get really stale. And Brian's dad requested this for his birthday, which was a shocker. We were trying to guess before we went over there what we were going to end up eating. It's always a gamble. Because you're sort of forced to get seconds and thirds of everything. So it's like you don't want to eat a bunch of food before you go over there because you're going to be forced to eat 6 rounds of food in the span of 2 hours. But there's also the chance you might not want to eat it. So anyway, hot chicken salad. Would not recommend. It feels like there were 20 hard-boiled eggs in there. It's not good. Sorry. But it's a mess. Anyway, there are a bunch of other great recipes in the cookbooks. Cartoon cake, I'm really interested in. Here are the ingredients. 1 18.25 ounce package of yellow cake mix, 3 eggs, 1 21 ounce can of cherry pie filling, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 8 ounce package of cream cheese softened, half a cup of butter softened, 4 cups of confectioner sugar, 1 21 ounce can of light cherry pie filling. I'm reading these recipes and Brian's mom was like, "Oh yeah, I could never make all these recipes. It's like too much." I was like, every single recipe in these cookbooks is like different cans of stuff that you dump into a casserole dish and put in the oven. And Brian's mom was like, "You don't cook every day. You don't cook like this all the time, do you?" I was like, "Oh my God. Come over to my house and see what's happening." It's cheaper to do this than to cook it's cheaper to cook from scratch than to do this. Okay, anyway, back to cartoon cake. Preheat oven to 350, grease and flour 2 9-inch round cake pans. Ignore the instructions on the cake box. In a large bowl, beat eggs, add 1 can of pie filling and combine. Add cake mix and beat until well mixed. The batter will be stiff. Yikes. Sounds overmixed. Okay, pour half of the batter into each pan and spread evenly. Bake 350 for 25 minutes. Cool them. For the icing, you beat the butter, the cream cheese, the vanilla till smooth. Add the confectioner's sugar, beat till smooth. Then you ice the cake and stack the 2 layers on top. Refrigerate until it's time to serve. Just before serving, pour the cherry pie filling on top and spread it gently down the sides. A few of the cherries will roll down the sides. That's what you want. Interesting. So that's their idea of a cartoon cake, which I kind of like. I like I love a cartoon cake conceptually. So it's nice that someone actually made a recipe for it. The other recipe that I actually might make, Georgia hot sausage pie. 1 pound of pork sausage, 2 tablespoons of bacon drippings, 2 cups of canned tomatoes, 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 cups of whole kernel corn, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of minced onion, 1 teaspoon of salt. You cook the sausage until it's done and crumbly, add tomatoes and drained corn, simmer 10 minutes, saute the chopped onion in the bacon fat, mix the flour, sugar, and salt, blend with onion and fat, add to vegetables and vegetable mix, heat to boiling, spoon into a baking dish, top with uncooked biscuits or butter bread triangles. Bake at 425 for 20 minutes or until brown. Serve hot. 6 to 8 servings. Good to reheat. I use mild sausage and uncooked biscuits on top. Nice. Was it cool for you guys to hear about all that? I think that would be great. If you had sort of like succotash season, if you had fresh tomatoes and fresh corn, that might actually be a good dish. It might. I like butter bread triangles on top. Garlic bread on top would be good. I have to go. It's been an hour and a half. Bye.